Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff, and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed a thing. Got that right this week. That's excellent. Can I get a wee audio check in the chat, please? I will say the couple of hellos that we've got. Mr. Packer was first in. Hoyt, what about you, chum? Experimentals in. What about you? Glad to see you here. Just read this. It may be the same Ladysmyth of Bristol. That is something I don't know, but it's quite interesting to have a look into which Ladysmith was named after. But that's an interesting one. Good point. Thank you very much. Mr. Burger's here. We will have all the funny comments in the world. Mr. Anglo-Saxon, what about you, brother? Very glad to have you here. Always a pleasure. Willie FM Radio, which is 420 on your dial, broadcasting out of Arizona, is in the chat. Willie, what about you, chum? Nah. Willie does streams. Sometimes there's streams where he talks and plays the radio. Sometimes there's streams where you get to listen to the birds waking up in Arizona, which is actually quite cool, strangely. So you can check him out. Really good lad. A good hangout. There's my wonderful sexy Emma in. What about you? We had a good afternoon today. Emma and I were out for lunch today in Bob Stewart's, which is a really, really old country pub, and it was fucking gorgeous. It was. The place is lovely. It's out in the country. It's lovely, but the food was fucking mint. I got triple cooked chips, which were fucking divine. Oh, rare that I eulogize over chips, but these chips are really good. Their burgers are good too. So there you go. That's that. Courage and Secure, Robin from Down Under. People, click that link, subscribe. If you were not here at the end of January, whenever Robin was on, Robin runs a good channel, keeps you up to date with what's going on across the world. Very good. Thanks for coming along, Robin. She's brought another Aussie with her. But looks a thing, Oz. Welcome aboard. G'day. What about you, chum? Willie's streaming has been curtailed for a while because he's currently in the YouTube jail. Bass is in from Holland. What about you, Sean? Glad to have you here. And with that, I think I was going through my housekeeping, but I think I've mostly done. Mostly. There's still some more. So what have we got? Shows that I like to give a shout out to. Courage to Secure, Robin from Australia. Worldwide News, very good. Hit the subscribe on that. Willie Radio, whenever he comes back. RPW Media, Rich, who is a brother of Jimmy from Philly, does a really good news show, covers a hell of a lot of topics. Fuck, that man can talk. He goes off like a fucking like a machine, like an MG 42, I think it was the Hitler slippers, that just fucking muted everything out. Really good, really fast recall of thought too. So you can get yourself over to him, and of course, as always, a big shout out to the Dave Waffle House. Yep, RPW Media. Willie, have I spannered you? Uh, expect yourself to get a spanner so that you can drop links and stuff. We'll get that sorted out at some stage, possibly tonight. Yes, the other one, the Dave Waffle House, the home of the Friday night duck race, which is indeed a thing of fucking amusement. Lots of ways to win ducks. You can win ducks in the show by interacting. You can buy ducks. You can, and indeed, you can buy ducks for other people, which is quite important because, as you know, I 42 do not take donations. I do not take super chats. But if you wish to buy me a duck, please feel free to go ahead, because absolute fucking wanking arseholes are calling Dave a grifter because he sells the odd duck here and there, and he's got a YouTube channel. Now, if that man's a grifter, I want to be his number one enabler, and I will say, buy me a fucking duck. Okay, so we've got that cleared. There's Angle bought Emma and I ducks the other week, and we were really, really pleased. Yes, Brad, a duck. Brad said, what about you, chum? Expect some sort of communication with me shortly, like tomorrow. Out for it up, yes. Oh fuck, no, these are digital ducks, and they race down the river, and so we'll try to start. We'll start. You get your ducks by either answering questions during the show, calling out 420 on 420, or indeed buying ducks. Then the ducks all get names. The ducks go on the digital river. They race up the river going quack, quack, quack. Dave does wonderful commentary, and the person whose duck wins then gets to spin the Wheel of Doom, which actually needs a rename because that Wheel of Doom does not have very much doom on it all. Somebody won fucking earpods last night. There's Bluetooth speakers, there's earpods, there's liquid fucking ass on that wheel. Get yourself involved, get a duck, and get over there. Now, yes. Yes. And Benton does tend to win a lot of the prizes because Benton buys a lot of ducks, throwing bananas about like they're fucking going out of fashion. That's exactly what happens. So there you go. I think that's my synopsis. Coming soon to Dave's Waffle House, expect the 420 segment where people get to come on and rant for 4 minutes 20 seconds. Dave, book me in. I will be doing this. I'm not quite sure my subject, but be advised, I will be writing. I will be scripting it. I will be rehearsing. I will be practicing it, and I will bring it in on fucking 4 minutes 20 seconds with a perfect rant. You can take that to the bank. I think it does, Emma. I think that almost deserves a duck. Right. So that is that all of our housekeeping? No. That's because you don't get yourself in the Waffle House on a Friday night at 4:20 at 20 past 8 20 past 9 GMT whenever the duck race appears. I'll send you a notification. Solid. In fact, have to say quack quack. Yes. There we go. Oh, expect other exciting news about duck races in the near future. Before April. This is all going to get exciting. So bear with us, people. We are getting there. Now, what other housekeeping do we have? Oh, yes. We do have Jack and Rags. I believe we'll have a show tomorrow night, Sunday evening. I believe that show will start at 7 o'clock. I believe there will be one Ragnar Ironspear, there will be one Jack London, and there will be a guest. I have no idea who the guest is, but it's a good show. The subject matter obviously changes every week because there's a new guest every week. It's a good format. It's a very solid format. In fact, it's a format that Joe Rogan goes. Fact of the matter is, Dave Waffle's a show. Nobody else in the world can do it. Jack and Rags, they book a show with a guest. In the same way that Joe Rogan books a show every week with a guest. It's fucking, and I try to come up with some historical facts and intrigue and interest to educate and entertain. Although I don't know whether or not I actually do with how I go with the entertainment bit, but people keep coming back. What else we'll have? Oh, yes, while we're on this, while we're on all of the subjects, be careful with them. Be careful with them short haircuts around the palace. Well, Rags Rogan might be pushing it a little bit, but it is the same format. And there's the keys to the kingdom, man. What about you, Sean? Glad to have you aboard. What are we going to do now? I think we're going to have a little. Emma thinks I'm on a little bit of a ranting. Right. Yeah, Dawn has got a limited capacity for waffle. The Chaz and Dave and Northern Ireland. Right. If you're a forced member in the waffle, it was probably your friend Linda Hunter that caused that, because she does buy a lot of memberships for people that are not herself. I think we're going to have a. Oh, this is sort of a musical interlude. We're going to move towards our main topic. Which is the Battle of Ladysmith and Spion Kop. And what I want to relate Don, he can't even keep track of his ducks. I don't know if he can figure out his current member listing. Oh, we don't know, but we will see. Right. Tonight we're going to talk about the Battle of Ladysmith and Spion Kop. And I want to. The name Spion Kop has a very special place in English history and culture. I'm going to do a little bit on that first, which is a semi-musical interlude. So here we go. This is where most English people, in fact, most people in the world, will have, whenever they hear the term Spion Kop, this is what they're going to think about. I'll play this and I'll go for a little bit, and I will be commentating.
About football. This season, over 2 million people on Merseyside have watched Liverpool or their neighbours Everton, last year's champions. But they don't behave like any other football crowd, especially not at one end of Afield ground on the Kop. The music the crowd sings is the music that Liverpool has sent echoing around the world. to be thought that Welsh international rugby crowds were the most musical and passionate in the world.
By the way, England, have a look behind you and have a look at what's happening. And those people, these are your people. Or at least they were in the 1960s.
But I've never seen anything like this Liverpool crowd. On the field here, the gay and inventive ferocity they show is quite stunning. The Duke of Wellington, before the Battle of Waterloo, said of his own troops, "I don't know what they do to the enemy, but by God, they frighten me." And I'm sure some of the players here in this match this afternoon must be feeling the same way. An anthropologist studying this Kop crowd would be introduced into as rich and mystifying a popular culture as in any South Sea island. Their rhythmic swaying is an elaborate and organized ritual. The 28,000 people on the Kop itself begin singing together. They seem to know intuitively when to begin. Throughout the match, they invent new words, usually within the framework of old Liverpool songs, to express adulatory, cruel, or bawdy comments about the players or the police. But even then, they begin singing these new words with one immediate, huge voice. They seem, mysteriously, to be in touch with one another, with Wacker, the spirit of Scouts. The spirit is good-humoured and generous when they're winning, but not necessarily when they're losing.
Right, I'm going to stop that there. I'm going to stop that there for the moment. Right. Attenborough should be. Now, I would doubt Toffee's here. I don't think Toffee has lurked here since he was banned, but I do know who he is. Streaky Bacon will be here in lurking because he seems to be. He was banned over 9 fucking months ago, and he still lurks, and he still fucking niggers on about how many people are in here, which tells me that he's here listening. And Streaky, we worried you about borders and boundaries that you seem to think everybody should have and whatnot. See if you found yourself the wrong side of a border that you've been told to fuck off from, and 9 months later you're still fucking weeping and yapping like a child. That's on you. You're a fucking child. Wise up and fuck off. Sorry. Sorry for that small tangent. So I'm not sure about them. We're now going to get back. The copy, and I'll get back to the thing. The copy in the Afield, whenever it was first built, it was just a stone hill with loose shingle, and it reminded the people of Ladysmith, where the battle was from. The full name of the stadium, of that part of the stadium, is the Spion Kop, from whence most of the end terraces in the world, or a lot of the big ones, all got named the Kop after that. And the reason for that was a load of people from Liverpool and the surrounding area were involved in this battle. So whenever we look at Liverpool Football Club of today, we see it as a very leftist institution. And I will say that the club has bought into that as well, along with most of the supporters. A lot of supporters from pre-1980 have totally different political views, but whenever Liverpool was being formed, they were proud to be in English. They were proud of the union to the point where they named part of their stadium off after a battle. And the other thing I will say about people who go, I'm not going anywhere near that sports ball. It's full of people that are not English, not British, not European, whatever. I'm going to say this. what you're losing is the community in the stand by walking away from it, and it allows the ethos of inside the stadium to change. The notion of the actual 11 players needing to represent the local area, I think that was lost. The first time that a factory team paid people that didn't work in the factory to come and play for them, and it were all the local teams and became professional. And if you bringing in players from Scotland, from Wales into England, from England into Wales, whatever, you've already lost that. But what you can keep and what is worth keeping is the people inside the stadium, which we now seem to be losing as well. But there you go. But yes, as Anglo says, the term came from that name got named from Spion Kop, from the battle in South Africa in the Boer War. No, Billy, it's okay. That one was coming. I'm not thinking that the world was covered in mud. Yeah. Yeah. It depends. It depends exactly where in Liverpool they're from. Liverpool probably had. I'll put it this way. I would say there's more unionist flute bands in Liverpool than any other city in England. I would say that there's probably more going on. Liverpool is one of the few cities in England that are segregated, and it's all a bit weird. But there you go. But Wakanda is real. Right, okay. So there's where it is in British popular culture. And with that, we're going to talk. First, I'm going to look at the Boer War, and then I'm going to look at the actual Battle of Ladysmith. And the other thing I wanted to check is, did something important come in here? Nope. Right, here we go. The Boer War coming up right now, and we'll get into the background of that. StreamYard Studio, present, share screen, sharing screen, South Africa Boer War, and this is coming from Encyclopedia Britannica. Just want to check what this looks like on the screen. Oh yes, more than large enough. Right. Here we go. The South African War fought between October 11th, 1899 to May 31st, 1902, between Great Britain and the two Boer Afrikaner republics, the South African Republic Transvaal and the Orange Free State, resulting in a British victory. Although it was the largest and most costly war in which Britain engaged between the Napoleonic Wars and World War One. Right, so we've been fighting Napoleon, haven't got around to World War One yet, so we're fighting the Boers in between. And it cost more than 2 million. It was fought between the wholly unequal belligerents. The total British military strength in South Africa reached nearly 500,000 men, whereas the Boers could muster no more than 88,000. But the British were fighting in a hostile country over difficult terrain. Yeah, Africa is difficult to do anything in. although the Africans don't seem to have put that much effort into it. With long lines of communications, while the Boers, mainly on the offensive, were able to use modern rifle fire to good effect at a time when attacking forces had no means of overcoming it. This is prior to any idea of taking cover and moving forward with stealth. We were still lining up, putting a drummer at the end and marching manfully forward until we got shot and killed. The conflict provided a foretaste of warfare fought with breech-loading rifles and machine guns, with the advantage to the defenders that was to categorize World War I. So this was the proving ground for the tactics of World War I and the use of machine guns. The cause of the war have provoked intense debates among historians and remain as unresolved today as during the war itself. British politicians claimed they were defending their serenity over the South African Republic, enshrined in Pretoria and disputably London Conventions of 1881, 1884. So in 1881, 1884, we engaged in treaties of a sort, and that was why the British were there. Many historians stress that in reality the contest was for control of the rich Waterman gold mining complex located in SAR. It was the largest gold mining complex in the world at the time, when the world's monetary systems, perennially the British, were increasingly dependent upon gold. Although there were many foreigners working in the gold mine industry, the complex itself was beyond direct British control. Also, the discovery of gold on Switzerland in 1886 allowed the SAR to make progress with modernisation effects, filed with Britain for domination in South Africa. Right, so you got two groups of people and they are arguing over land rights, mineral rights, all that sort of stuff. And just in case anybody would think, well, surely the South Africans would have a claim on that. Well, the South Africans had been walking all over it since they were ever there, if they bothered to go to that bit of Africa, which is highly doubtful. And then they would need the technology required to extract it and turn it from lumps of rock into gold bars, and therefore worth something. Unless they've got that, they've got no claim to it, because that's where the value comes from in getting it out of the ground. After 1897, Britain, through Alfred Milner, its highest commissioner of South Africa, manoeuvred to undermine the political independence of the SAR and demanded the modification of the Boer Republic's constitution to grant political rights to the primarily British Uitlanders. Right, so they were saying, this bit that you've got, everybody's got to be the same in there. Oh. One group of people said this is ours, and other people said you have to let us in. And then eventually you couldn't keep anybody out because you let one person in. This is why we have borders and boundaries, thereby providing them with a dominant role in formulating state policy that would presumably be more pro-British than the current policy of the SAR. In an effort to prevent the conflict between Britain and the SAR, Martin VII, President of the Orange Free State, hosted the unsuccessful Bloemfontein Conference in May to June 1899 between Milner and Paul Kruger, President of the SAR. Kruger did offer to make concessions to Britain, but they were deemed insufficient by Milner. After the conference, Milner requested that the British government send additional troops to reinforce a British government garrison in southern Africa. They began arriving in August and September. The build-up of the troops alarmed the Boers, and Kufuor offered additional uh, concessions, which were again rejected. Right, so people arguing, blah, 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 blah. Now they were starting to bring fighting men into the area. The Boers realised the war was unavoidable, took the offensive on October the 9th, 1899. They issued an ultimatum to the British government declaring that a state of war would exist between Britain and the two Boer republics if the British did not remove their troops from along the border. The ultimatum expired without resolution and the war began on October 11th, 1899. So they didn't declare war, they just made it impossible for the other side not to. The course of the war can be divided into three periods. During the first phase, the British in southern Africa were unprepared and militarily weak. Boer armies attacked on two fronts into the British colony of Natal from the SAR and into the northern Cape Colony from the Orange Free State. The northern districts of Cape Colony rebelled against the British and joined the Boer forces. In late 1899, early 1900, the Boers defeated the British in a number of major engagements and besieged the key towns of Ladysmith, now Amati, African name. Particularly of note among Boer victories of this period were those that occurred at Masvatersborn, Kottersburg, Stromberg. It's Africa, so there's not going to be any iceberg. During what became known as Black Week, December 10th to 15th, 1899. Kruger's 1899 offensive had taken the British by surprise, and the accounts of the early Boer victories, however, on arrival of large numbers of British reinforcements, the early 1900s, made the eventual Boer defeat inevitable. In the second phase, the British under the Lords Kitchener and Roberts, Kitchener, who would become very famous in World War I, relieved the besieged towns, beat the Boer armies in the field, and rapidly advanced up the lines of rail transportation. Bloemfontein, capital of the Orange Free State, was occupied by the British in February 1900, and Johannesburg and Pretoria, capital of the SAR, in May and June. Kruger failed capture and went to Europe, where, despite the fact that there was much sympathy for the plight of the Boers, he was unsuccessful in his attempts to gain viable assistance in the fight against the British. Now, I'm going to leave that one at this point and look at the actual Battle of Ladysmith now. I think we're at that point, and I also want to check the comments. Yeah, I believe the Boers do. Budgie Burger makes a good point. South Africa is still the richest country in Africa because it's the most organized country in Africa. Yeah, I can agree with that. Those two groups of people should have figured out their differences in Africa and worked together. Sorry, just checking the comments. Afrikaners don't want to leave. They call themselves Africans. The racists won't accept them. I don't know. I've worked with a couple of people that had lived in Africa, and they were very keen on leaving. And no, we had no problem welcoming them back into the fold. Yes, and I agree with Willie. Everybody, please go ahead and hit that like button. Right, I'm going to drop that one out and move on to the actual Battle of Ladysmith. Oh, hold on, I have to get... I can take that out, right? Okay, 1 second, just finding the link. All right. What the hell? There we go. We've actually got it now. I want to see how this is looking on the screen because I think it might be a little small. It is indeed a little small. That went the wrong way. Zoom in and zoom in again. Let's see what's that like. I think we're going to have to let that go. That's going to have to do with that. Right. The Siege of Ladysmith. So we've got the basics. We have Dutch people, former Dutch people in Africa. We have British people in Africa, and they're fighting over the land rights. Okay. So here we go. The Siege of Natal during the Boer War that ensnared the British Army from 2nd November 1899 to 27 February 1900, but blocked the Boer invasion of the colony. So the dates was 2nd November to 27 February. It was in northern Natal in southern Africa. It was the British against the Boers. The commanders was Lieutenant General Sir George White against Generals Joubert and Bothwell, and Sir George is the British one. The size of the armies is the British 5,500 troops against the varying numbers of Boers from the end of the year. The garrison outnumbered the besieging Boers. The Boer War was a serious jolt for the British Army. At the outbreak of the war, British tactics were appropriate for use of single-shot firearms, fired in volleys, controlled by company and battalion officers. And you've all seen this in Zulu. Front rank, fire. Middle rank, fire. Back rank, fire. Front rank, fire. That's how they got a very effective fire by bunching people together, and it was single shot. And while one was firing his shot, you had another two people reloading and ready to put a round in the exact same place. That's how we did fight a war. This is all going to change. The troops fight in close order. The need for tight formations have been emphasized time and again in colonial fighting. In the Zulu and Sudan wars, overwhelming enemy numbers attacked principally with stabbing weapons and were easily kept at a distance by such tactics. See, if you've got a spear, the biggest problem with it is you got to be right in front of the person to stick it in them. Same with a sword or a cudgel or whatever, you got to be right there. These rifles, you want to be hitting them from a distance. But as at Rwanda would overrun a loosely formed force. That was the one before the York Strip, where the British got wiped. These tactics had to be entirely rethought in the battle against the Boers, armed with modern weapons. So again, what you've got is new type of conflict, new type of weapons to fight against. Everything needs to change. And This is the Boers bringing up Long Tom to bombard Ladysmith, and that obviously is an artillery piece getting pulled across this river by oxen. And you can see this landscape, it's very barren. There's not a lot of foliage. In the months before hostilities, the Boer Commander General, General Hubert, brought 30,000 Mauser magazine rifles and a number of modern field guns and automatic weapons from German armaments manufacturer Krupp. I do believe they are the same outfit that armed the Ulster Volunteers whenever they formed their militia. And the French formed Crusade. The commandos, without formal discipline, wielded into a fighting force through a strong sense of community and dislike for the British. Field cornets led boroughs by personal influence and not through any military code. So this was bunches of people going, right, let's go get these people. You, me, him, let's go. The Boers did not adopt military formation in battle, instinctively fighting from whatever cover there might be. The preponderance were countrymen running their farms from the back of a pony with a rifle in their hand. So that's what they did all day, every day. They worked their farm and they shot things like snakes and shit. These rural Boers fought with a lifetime of marksmanship. These rural Boers brought a lifetime of marksmanship to the war at an important age, further exploited by Jogbert's consignment of the magazine rifles. Follion is said to have coined some weird word, and foreign volunteers readily adopted the fighting methods of the rest of the army. So whenever other people come in, they seen what these other people were doing was good, and they went, let's all be guerrillas. Other than in regular uniform Sats artillery and police units, the Boers wore everyday civilian clothes on the campaign. Now, if you take your army out of uniform, you have just made every civilian a target, because the uniformed men on the other side cannot distinguish between the two, and they don't like to die. So whenever people start shooting at them, they shoot back. Whenever they see people that look like the people that were just shooting at them, they continue shooting. After the first month, the Boers lost their numerical superiority, spending the rest of the formal war in the defensive against the British forces that regularly outnumbered them. British tactics, little change from Crimea, used the Mulger River, Culloden and Spion Kop were incapable of winning battles against. Right, the British tactics used from the Crimea at these places, including Spion Kop, were incapable of winning battles against the entrenched troops armed with modern magazine rifles. Every British commander made the same mistake. Buller, Mather, and Roberts, and Kinser. When General Kelly Kenny attempted to winkle Coney's commandos out of their riverside entrenchments at Petersburg using his artillery, Kitchener intervened and insisted on a battle of infantry assault, with the same disastrous consequences as Glasgow, Muddy River, Muddy Gascon, and Spion Kop. Some of the most successful British troops were the non-regular regiments, the City Imperial Volunteers, the South Africans, Canadians, Australians, and New Zealanders. because we didn't just send English people there. We had all of our people who more easily broke from the habit of the traditional European warfare, using their horses for transport rather than charge, advanced by fire and manoeuvre, and loose formations, and making use of cover rather than the formal advance into a storm of Mauser bullets. Because advancing into a storm of bullets never does go well. The British regiments made an uncertain change into khaki uniforms in the 3 years preceding the Boer War, with their topi helmets as typical headwear. Highland regiments in Natal devised aprons to conceal coloured kilts and spurns. By the end of the war, the uniform of choice was a slouch hat, drab tunic and trousers. The danger of shiny buttons and two ostentatious emblems of rank emphasized in several engagements with disproportionately high officer casualties. So if you're like this and you're all shiny, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, and you have these big different coloured stripes on your arm, donating you to be a sergeant and therefore somebody giving orders, your life expectancy became very short. Oh, and they're the Royal Dublin Fusiliers. The British infantry were armed with the Lee Metford magazine rifle firing 10 rounds, but no training regime had been established to take advantage of the accuracy and speed of fire of the weapon. Personal skills such as scouting and fieldcraft were little taught. The idea of fire and movement was unknown. Now, here's why, in my humble opinion. This business where you send 4 or 5 people off here, 4 or 5 people off there, and 4 or 5 people off the other, that requires you to be very, very confident that they're going to at least make 100% effort to do what you've sent them to do. And at this stage, at the start of this, they weren't really sure of that, and it was a better idea to have your trusted people be the non-commissioned officers, the corporals, the sergeants, the colour sergeants, and keep all the rest of them in a herd and herd them forward, and then they at least made an effort because there's no other choice. Letting them off to do their own little fire manoeuvre things takes away a large level of control. Many regiments still going into action in close order. Notoriously, General Hart insisted that his Irish Brigade fought shoulder to shoulder, as if on parade in Aldershot. Short of regular troops, Britain engaged volunteer forces from Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, who brought new ideas and more imaginative formations to the battlefield. And here we have these are the Boers, and you can see there's nothing on there that's going to make them stand out in anything. The British regular troop lacked imagination and resource. Routine procedures such as effective scouting and camp protection were often neglected. The war was littered with incidents in which the British contingents became lost or were ambushed, often unnecessarily, and forced to surrender. The war was followed by a complete reorganisation of the British Army. So we went through this and we went, this didn't work so well, so we're going to change. This is a British hilltop picket in the siege of Ladysmith. The British artillery was a powerful force in the field, underused by commanders with little training and use of modern guns in battle. Pickenham cites Peters as being the battle which the British commander surprisingly surprisingly, Buller developed the modern form of battlefield tactics, heavy artillery bombardments coordinated to permit the infantry to advance under their protection. This is where a lot of the problems in World War One, where we had this idea where we could fire and move in behind, but we were never that accurate with the shelling. It was the only occasion that Butler showed any real generalship in the short inspiration, and this short inspiration quickly died. The Royal Field Artillery fought with 15-pounder guns, the Royal Horse Artillery with 12-pounders, and the German Royal Artillery batteries with 5-inch howitzers. The Royal Navy provided heavy field artillery with a number of 4.7-inch naval guns mounted to field carriages devised by Captain Percy Scott of HMS Terrible. So the Navy guy on the ship has went, we've got these guns here on our ship, we don't need them right now, so I'll rig you something up and you can carry them along, and that's what they did. Automatic weapons were used by the British, usually mounted on special carriages accompanying the cavalry. So at this stage, we will still have had your machine gun needed to be solidly mounted to something. The British under White held out until General Buller, but without great distinction. This is a list of the regiments, which actually I think will be interesting. 18th Hussars, 13th and 18th Royal Hussars and Light Dragoons, the 5th Lancers, the 16th and 5th Lancers, and now the Royal Lancers. You've got the 1st King's Liverpool Regiment, which is now the Duke of Leicester's Regiment. The 1st Devonshire Regiment, now the Rifles. 1st Lancashire Regiment, now the Royal Anglican Regiment. 1st Gloucestershire Regiment, now the Rifles. And the 1st King's Royal Rifle Corps, now the Rifles. So the Devonshires, the Devonshires, the Gloucestershire Regiment, and the King's Royal Rifle Corps, they're now all amalgamated into one, and they somehow have to carry the history of all those 3 regiments, which also is why and how our army is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. 1st Manchester Regiment, now Duke of Lancaster's Regiment, and the 2nd Gordon Highlanders, now the Royal Regiment of Scotland. But it's not just the Highlanders in that regiment, is it? It's all the other Scottish regiments rolled into fucking one. 2nd Rifle Brigade, now the Rifles. 1st Royal Irish Fusiliers, disbanded in 1922. And the Royal Dublin Fusiliers, disbanded in 1922. Anybody want to hazard a guess why that happened? That's because Ireland stopped being British and Northern Ireland happened, and we had a downsizing of the Irish regiments. Interestingly, there are Fusiliers in the current Royal Irish Regiment, which is where we rolled all our regiments up into. Here we've got a little bit of a map. We've got Lombard's Kop up here. Bell's Kop, Ladysmith's here. The Boer War began on 11 October 1899 with the invasion of Natal by General John Joubert's Boer army of 35,000 men. Scavengers and Orange Free Staters. On his appointment, the Commander-in-Chief, Sir General Rogers' brother, urged that no British troops should be positioned further north than the Tulja River until he arrived from England with the British Army Corps. Butler knew South Africa and the Boers, and that the force commanded by White was insufficient to venture across the Tugela. After the initial British success of the battles of Tanga Hill and Eglinton State, Butler was proved correct. White lost the Battle of Ladysmith and quickly found himself trapped by the advancing Boers. On the 2nd of November 1899, the railway line was cut south of Ladysmith and White's army was under siege in the town. So, no more supplies in. What men you've got in there, that's what you've got to go on with. What weapons you've got in there, that's what you've got to go on with. What food you've got there, that's what you've got to go on with. And most importantly, what ammunition you've got. Because you can fight on hungry. You can fix weapons. But once you run out of ammunition, it's down to that stabby thing that you've got. And that's not good. On the last train out were Major General French and his Chief of Staff, Major Douglas Haig, lying on the carriage floor amidst a hail of bullets, escaping to command the cavalry division with regiments arriving from Britain. Oh, and there's a picture of the last train out. White was an elderly general who's actually, I need to go and look at the comments. Yeah. Fucking green jackets. Sorry, I'm just checking through the chat. Yep, we're all good. Oh, yes, Angle loves a bit of cold hard style. See, Billy, I do read the chat. I just don't highlight everything. Yeah. Good soldiers on there, Brad. Very good soldiers. Had the pleasure of meeting a few of them over here. It was a pleasure. White had fought in the Indian Mutiny and won the Victoria Cross in the Second Afghan War, semi-retirement beckoned while the governorship of Gibraltar, while the South African crisis diverted him to Durban and pushed him back into the front line. The warfare in Nepal was beyond White's experience and capability, requiring knowledge of the country, which White did not have. Fighting the well-armed Boers required active and accurate reconnaissance and intelligence. It required energy, hard work, and resources, and above all, initiative and determination, qualities White no longer possessed. He did in his youth, but not so much as he go on. White knew that he could not permit his force to be pinned down in a useless minor township. He should have retreated previously to avoid being caught in Ladysmith, but he could not bring himself to abandon the stockpile of army supplies built up in the town. So they've got all these supplies in the town, and now they're going to have to defend them because they decided to not leave and take them with them. When Buller arrived in Cape Town with the British Army Corps, the expectation was of him that he would invade the Orange Free State at a point of his choosing. The strategic pendulum would have swung firmly in Britain's favour. White's investment in Ladysmith with Cecil Rhodes self-ignorant in Kimberley changed all that. Buller could not permit such a large force as White's to fall into the hands of the Boers. He was forced to abandon any notion of invading the Free State for a slogging match across the Tondela to relieve Ladysmith. So it's changed the whole fucking shape of the battle because they got to go there and save these people. The British in Ladysmith and in Kimberley and Mafeking were fortunate that the nature of the Boer commando made it an inappropriate instrument to conduct the siege. Discipline was voluntary and self-imposed. The Boer burghers had to be persuaded to adopt a course of action. They could not be ordered. The Boer was an ideal soldier for a defensive battle, which most of the main battles were on the Boer side. He was not appropriately armed for an assault, having no bayonet, which to the end was the only way to capture Ladysmith and other towns. So what you're running into is a bunch of people that are basically saying, see if they turn up to take our town, to take our encampment, we'll fight them. But see this business going out in the wild and chasing them, we're not doing that. They weren't overly excited for that. On 9th November 1899, the Boers stormed the King's Post on the northern perimeter of Ladysmith and Caesar's camp on the southern perimeter. After having fighting, the Boers were driven back. The siege quickly developed a monotonous routine, with artillery bombardments conducted by either side each day. Long Tom, the heavy crew shotgun, was the main Boer armament, while the Royal Navy gunners replied with 4.5-inch guns. Need to send a sneak squad in at night and do that fucking Boer gun. By agreement with General Corgi, a camp was established at Ntumbe on the outer southeastern edge of the perimeter for the civilian inhabitants of the town. The camp lay on the railway, and throughout the siege, trains took sickening civilians to its hospital. A condition laid down by Conji was that once there, no one could return to the main town. So the Boers on the other side pulled a very good tactic. You want to evacuate your wounded? Go ahead. We will let them out. We will cease fire. We will make sure they get out there safely. But they ain't coming back. Maybe want to load that full of your civilians as well. Go on, get your civilians out. We'll wipe out whatever's left. Which meant that they had provided the capability for wounded soldiers to get medical aid, but the fact that they were not going to be allowed back into the fray meant that most of them would have probably been retained there and treated with whatever medical stuff they had, because even a half-dead man can fire a rifle at the last 5 yards of an advance coming towards him. As you all seen Davy Crockett in the Alamo movie where he's got his leg all messed up and he's in the hospital bay, but whenever the Mexicans get that far, he still bounces up with his knife and tries to take a couple of them. So there would be a natural unwillingness for the army to let the soldiers out, knowing that they can't come back. On the 15th December 1899, General Buller attempted to force the Boer positions on the Tulga at the Battle of Colino, losing connectivity. The Ladysmith garrison listened to the distant bombardment. At first, it was thought that Buller had forced the Boer positions. The next day, the correct news came through to the town by way of a dispatch from Buller to White, explaining that the Natal field force had been repelled. Further, Buller stated to White that he did not consider his army strong enough to force the line of the Tuga River to rescue the British garrison at Ladysmith, and that White should consider firing away his ammunition and making terms with the Boers. So he's saying, yeah, fight your own ammunition and then come to terms. White and his officers took Buller to be recommending that they surrender to the Boers and indignantly rejected his suggestion. They went, no surrender! There's the Boer artillery. Buller sent a telegram making the same point to the government in London, receiving a sharp rebuke in reply, stating that there was no question of permitting the Ladysmith garrison to surrender. I'm curious as to how long it took that telegram to get to London and back. How long does it take you to sail from South Africa to England and get that message there? Or was there some form of a radio involved? Buller, after the relief, denied that he had meant the garrison should surrender. So whenever they had got it through, they were, whenever they got through the other side, says, no, I never said to surrender. As the extent of the defeat at Colasano sank in, the spirits of the Ladysmith garrison fell. Several of the senior officers were aware that with the withdrawal of many of the Boers to reinforce Stuart's lines, the Tuga and the British garrison heavily outnumbered the besiegers, yet almost nothing was done to incommode the Boers. The Boer bombardments, particularly by their 2 6-inch guns, were conducted at unpredictable times. They were conducted at the times that they could get the Boers to fucking fire them. On the 24th of November, Long Tom caught the company of the King's Liverpool's massed in the open, inflicting 9 casualties, 5 of them killed. On the 22nd of December 1899, Long Tom surprised the Gloucesters, inflicting 17 casualties. A repeated target from the long-range Boer guns was the main Ladysmith Hospital. On the night of 22nd of December, Long Tom dropped a shell into the officers' mess of the Devons. One moment. Oh. Sorry, I had the cough there. On New Year's Day, 1900, a British officer was killed by a shell landing in the middle of a cricket match. The dead officer being in the act of bullying. He was hit by a shell while playing cricket, bullying at the fucking wicket. By God, they were different people then. No, fuck the war. We'll have to play our cricket. The counter battery fire was conducted by the 2 naval 4.7-inch guns known as Lady Anne and Princess Victoria. For the garrison, the sound of the British guns firing back maintained morale. General White spent most of his siege in his headquarters building in the middle of the town, surrounded by his largely inactive staff. No proper continuous system of formation or strong points were built. Nothing was done to harass the Boer besiegers, while attempting to maintain the myth that his command was a field force, but did nothing to justify the claim. He really ought to have been out harassing them. Colonel Cox, commanding the northern sector of Ladysmith perimeter, worked hard to fortify his lines. Other sectors were less well served. On the 8th of December, Colonel Rotswell persuaded White to permit a raid on the Boer lines. A party of Imperial Light Horse and Natal carabiners stormed Lambert's Kop and destroyed the two large Boer guns. On 11 December, oh fuck, am I muted? Am I fuck? Is Rags in? Rags, you in the chat? Are you, Tom? All right. Un momento. I know what he's just sent me. Right. Sorry. Colonel Cox commanding the northern sector of... I heard a ping and I thought that I had left this thing on fucking mute, but I had not, and you were all able to hear me. Oh, no, we... Rags, what about the chum? What the fuck was that link, mate? Yeah, no, we tried to avoid the Huck too. Right, where was I? 11 December 1899, the Rifles captured Surprise Hill, blowing up the Boer howitzer. The party had to fight its way out, but successes accelerated the garrison. Yes, see, whenever you start to kill some of the enemy and stop some of their artillery coming in because you blew them the fuck up, things do improve. You feel good about that. It's what you want to do. Dennis Ritz was a member of the Boer corporalship that ambushed the retreating Rifles. Colonel Neil Hamilton and the commander-in-chief of the Dardanelles in 1915 performed less well in his southern sector, containing the vital Wagon Hill and Caesar's Camp. Hamilton seems to have had little time for his responsibilities, preferring to stay with his depressive and inactive commander in the headquarters in the centre of Ladysmith. President Cougar constantly urged the Boer leaders around Ladysmith to take the town by storm, a course of action they finally agreed to attempt. So he's in, the British commander's in there and he's not doing anything, and the people that's in charge of the Boers are saying, "Would just please go and fucking attack that place." On January 6, 1990, the Boers launched an attack on Ladysmith designed to overwhelm the garrison before the Boers transferred a substantial part of the investing force to the Tonga to help resist Buller's advance. The attacks were launched around Ladysmith perimeter. Cox beat off the assault on his fortifications with little difficulty. The main Boer attack fell on the crescent-shaped hill in the southern perimeter known as Caesar's Camp. The western principal was called Wagon Hill. Due to the indulgence of White and Hamilton, whose sector this was, the area was largely bereft of entrenchments. The Boers approached the brow of the hill in two columns, finally charged, and the Boers rushed to British posts. The troops in Wagons Hill were the King's Royal Rifles, Gordon Highlanders, and Imperial Light Horse, supported by a Hawkins gun. A confused fight took place in the dark. Ian Hamilton brought up reinforcements of Gordon Highlanders, the Rifle Brigade, and the 22nd and 53rd Field Batteries. Fierce fighting took place along Wagon Hill, and the support of the beleaguered companies of Manchester and Imperial Light Horse on Wagon Hill West and Caesar's Camps. The Boers were eventually driven back by a renewed attack, reinforced by the dismounted squadron of 18th Hussars. The final movement was conducted by companies of the Devons, who charged at the crest of hill and drove the Boers back, albeit with some losses. And here we go. There's them charging forward, and We've got somebody at the front with their hat in the air, waving them forward. An old Boer was found lying on the hillside with a Mark Henry rifle marked 58th Regiment, taken from the British during the First Boer War at Lanark's Neck and Mambala Hill. The garrison did nothing further to assist Buller's advance and relieve Ladysmith, other than listen anxiously to the sounds of the fighting on Spion Kop. During January 1900, supplies in Ladysmith became seriously short. The remaining cavalry horses were shot for food. Between the 20th and 27th February, Buller fought his final and successful battle at Produce, forcing the Boer positions to cover Tulga and river crossings. On 27 February 1900, the British pickets on Wagon Hill saw the Boer besiegers trek away across the valley. Soon afterwards, Boer's troops marched into Ladysmith and the siege was over. So the British suffered around 900 men killed and wounded in the siege of Ladysmith, with another 800 men captured by the Boers. The Boer casualties are unknown. Battle honours and medal clasps. The defence of Ladysmith is a battle honour for the regular British regiments in the garrison. The relief of Ladysmith is a battle honour for the regular British regiments in Buller's relieving army. So, if you were there to start, you got the defence battle honour, and if you were coming along, you got the relief of Ladysmith battle honour. The Ladysmith garrison did not know whether they were rogues. The Ladysmith garrison did not know whether they were rogues or heroes for spending the war in the town. A clasp was issued to the Queen South Africa. A clasp was issued for the Queen South Africa Medal Defence of Ladysmith, and another clasp for the relief of Ladysmith. So the clasp, can I make this larger? This is the medal here. And the clasp is this little bit that goes across the bottom of the ribbon, and it tells you that that is for the defense of Ladysmith, and the medals will be the same, obviously. Just giving a quick skim through this. That's oh yeah. There's a little picture. That's just the references. And so there we go. There is Ladysmith. We didn't do very much on Spion Kop. I'm going to take that out, and we are going to have a musical interlude. We're on 118. And I'm going to check through the chat. That's something I know nothing about. Ladysmith Black Mombasa. Oh, yeah, Anglo, but she's still a good woman. Sorry, I'm just checking through the chat. Ah, yes. The French are indeed cheese-eating surrender monkeys. Oh, fuck. Yeah, who the fuck knows? Yeah, I would say the British didn't start it, but they made it impossible for it not to happen. So I would say the British did start it. And with that, I think I'm going to have a musical interlude, and I think we're going to have one from the. I think we're going to have a sea shanty. Oh, I'm not quite sure which sea shanty. Right, let's see. One momento, I just check this out. Uh, yeah. No, we're not doing that. Sorry, we need to change. Right. One momento. Yep. Yeah, we'll go with a little bit of dreadnoughts. Present. Share screen. Share screen. Tippy tappy toe. Here we go.
'Tis a damn tough life, full of toil and strife, we whalermen undergo. And we don't give a damn when the day is done, how hard the winds did blow. 'Cause we're homeward bound from the Arctic around, with a good ship taut and free. And we don't give a damn when we drink our rum with the girls of old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale towards our island home. Our mainmast sprung, our whaling done, and we ain't got far to roam. 6 hellish months we passed away on the cold Kamchatka Sea. But now we're bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale to the ice and wind and rain. Them coconut fronts, them tropical lands we soon shall see again. Our stunsail's bones is carried away, what care we for that sound? A living gale is after us, thank God we're homeward bound. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. How soft the breeze through the island trees, now the ice is far astern. Them native maids, them tropical glades is awaiting our return. Even now their big brown eyes look out, hoping some fine day to see Our baggy sails running for the gales, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui.
Gimme, 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 gimme.
Close that off. There we go. Eyes wide shut us in. That was a bit of Old Maui from the Dreadnought, and can't stop for supplies there now. Imagine coming to such an island after such a trip. No wonder men went through sea and ships. Oh. That's the one that has a very, very similar. Yeah, we will have a consideration of how close these tunes are. 1 second. No, but I am going to be doing a video very shortly about a shark eating somebody's hands. That's going to be getting the 2 pence worth budget. So there's that. And here we go. But a song very similar to that, but with different words. Yes, that one there. Here we go. What we're doing is comparing how similar these two songs are.
When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. My God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. My eyes, they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. My God, we'll have our home.
All right. Now we'll take that down. There we go. Our swells then. What about you, chum? I always see that as a safe working load. Sorry. I'm sure it's obviously something very, I'm sure something very different, but being around factories and seeing everything SWL, safe working load, swell, that's where your name always takes me. But I'm very glad to have you here. Yeah, they are indeed very similar. Oh yeah. Oh, well, like a sea shanty here. We do. But I think what we're going to play now is something that's not a sea shanty. I think we're going to play. Yeah, it seems like one for this. It definitely does. We'll give this a word. Hello, you're listening to 42's letter to the Anglo-Saxons. When you spread this message, you are the resistance. The Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon shook his head sharply, his hair dislodging droplets of sweat from the back of his neck, the produce of moving a carcass to the workbench. The sharpened blades and cleavers felt natural in his hand. The carcass divided to his will. The Anglo-Saxon's muscle memory was that of a warrior. His body was lost to the toil, but his mind wandered to memories that were not his own. An intruder startled the Anglo-Saxon. However, before him was not the meadows and glades of his ancestors, but a butcher's shop window. While politely serving the customer, the Anglo-Saxon mourned the loss of a kingdom he had never known, of the rituals and customs that were lost long before his grandparents were even born. Outside, the street was a bustle. He knew there were others like him, ones who carried the warrior's pride. Amongst them he would find the rightful place of an Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon.
It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when the time shall count from the date that the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. When time shall count from the date the Anglo-Saxons began to hate.
Game over.
Oh, it's not leaving him. It's not leaving his ancestors either. It's not leaving his descendants either. Yeah, no, we don't need Lammy about. We're fine without any Shangle Butchers. But I'll tell you what I did just fine, because I was looking for something else. I found a poem that I wrote in 2012, and I'm going to recite that now. Hey Peter, what about you, chum? Dude, I need to send you an email or whatnot, or get you on Telegram. Are you in the Secret Waffle House group? Cause, by the way, this guy here, Peter Banton, if you like, I don't know, we can put it in what the genre would be of his music is, but it's like dancey, trancy stuff to me. This guy streams while he's mixing music and then has conversations with, or just tells stories. Some of his stories are fucking epic. Like the time he temporarily joined the Russian fucking mafia whenever he may have got kidnapped, getting into the wrong car. Right? It's mad. The guy's got good stories. Click on his link, catch his live streams, Do him a favor. Right. And fucking YouTube doesn't like his font either, because I don't know how long I've known this guy, but it's quite a while, and I still can't get it to fucking highlight the at Peter Benton. So there you go. Anyway, yes, this is a poem I wrote back in 2012. We're coming in the spring, and this is called Trilogy of Trilogies. Nice wee picture of Stonehenge. The trilogy was took from me of family, God and tribe. The trilogy was took from me when Patrick was alive. The trilogy was took from me of water, air and land. The trilogy was took from me as sand falls through my hand. The trilogy was took from me of earth and moon and sun. The trilogy was took from me. There was always more than one. The trilogy was took from me when snakes were forced to leave. The trilogy was took from me, but yet I still believe. Very soon you will have your yearly reminder that Patrick the Apostle is not a saint, was never a saint, and that he is famed for removing the pagan religions from Ireland, and the removal of a religion in Porter and Hull is indeed a genocide. So all you fucking wankers who are slurping down beer and painting yourself green, please be advised, this is what you're celebrating. And that was my thoughts on that. There you go. Oh, I might actually play Belfast Lullaby. This could turn into a fucking... 1 year, 9 months ago, feminism left Ukraine. We'll see how this one aged. Actually, I'm going to check out the comments. Doesn't need to be by the sword. You just need to make conditions. You just need to remove it. It's still a genocide. Feminism left Ukraine from 1 year and 9 months ago. Feminism left Ukraine on the dawn of war and the onset of pain. Society divided to its core. When the borders became closed to men, those aged 16 to 60 must remain. Women and children to the lifeboats once again. That's when feminism left Ukraine. The international sisterhood lost its voice when feminism left Ukraine. They could not argue for a woman's choice that only men's blood would drain. In that world of mud and blood and pain, only men you shall see, because feminism left Ukraine when it acquired responsibility. I think that aged quite well. I think it's still where we're at with all of that Ukrainian stuff. Why? Because feminism left it, right? So that makes no sense. Right. What am I going to do here? I am going to play. I thought this is probably going to be a little bit short tonight because I'm not going to start into another whole story. If anybody has any pressing questions they want to ask, stick them in the chat. I'm going to play harmony, melody, and rhyme, have a talk, and then play out with eating of some bugs. That's what's going to happen here. Fuck off. Black said worse than green said. I fell off a cliff and came off a couple of motorbikes. for Ragnar Iron Spear. That's very, very good budget. Oh no. Remove. Yes. Take that out of the studio and put the other one into the studio. It's a video file. And it is red. And it is harmony, melodies, and rhymes. I'll come back to that.
Hello, this is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance. You are not alone, and we shall walk this journey together. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Let us gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. From that grand house they tried to burn down, there's gold in the ashes if you look around. Let us gather together those that can perform, then from those scarred timbers build our own platform. Build our own platform. We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing for all harmony, melody, and rhyme. We descended from minstrels in old days of yore. We will create a culture as we did once before, forced to stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. You have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. You have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. Stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing we will sing harmony, melody, rhyme. Harmony, melody, and rhyme. So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. I have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. You cannot kill a dream. So we will gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. You're talking to 42. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people. Harmony, melody. right. We will sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people with the ancient trilogy of harmony, melody, rhyme. We create large society through family, God and tribe. The gods of water, earth and land brought us through alive. The earth, the moon, the sun, each became a deity, independent parts of another trilogy. Is it a coincidence or is it just sublime that we now bring excellence in harmony, melody and rhyme? With power and wealth, you control the mainstream, but you never realized you cannot kill a dream. You cannot kill a dream. And we shall walk this journey together.
Right. I'm now figuring out what I'm going to do next, just before I leave you. I want to leave you with. I'm going to do a poem. This was pretty much the first poem I wrote. It was the first poem I uploaded to social media, anywhere, that being all poetry. And that was the beginning of 42 social media. And everything that's going on. It's called Survive, Then Thrive. Wrote this in 2012. Survive, then thrive. You came pretty close, it has to be said, to ending my life when you fucked with my head. But something deep down in the back of my brain simply said no and saved me again. I survive. You made me feel small. You made me feel weak. Taught me not to talk back and always be meek. Taught me that my role was to work and to clean, like a loyal employee, never heard and unseen. I survived. The cold and the hunger you made me endure did not have the desired effect of that, I am sure, for I still had some strength that cannot be denied. When you said the way forward was my suicide, I survived. The daily insults were hard to take, but it would require more than words, my spirit to break. You labelled me stupid and lacking in fight. Well, here's a surprise. This retard can write. I will thrive. For now that I'm free and no longer in fear, both sides will be told it will become clear. My behaviour was strange. I committed some treason, but your treatment of me was always the reason. I will thrive. I wrote that in 2012. Stating that I would thrive, confident that I would. And I'm going to say something. Sitting here on a Saturday night with you wonderful people in the chat and the people that I've met along the way and the stuff that I've done. And this little beauty that is cracking fucking 12,000 fucking 12,000 views on YouTube. I think I'm thriving. I think I've got there. I think I'm doing all right. I'm happy with it. I'll take that. I'm playing this out with the Anglo-Saxon. And I'll put your notes up on the screen, your messages. Hello, you're listening to 42's letter to the Anglo-Saxons. When you spread this message, you are the resistance. The Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon shook his head sharply, his hair dislodging droplets of sweat from the back of his neck, the produce of moving a carcass to the workbench. The sharpened blades and cleavers felt natural in his hand.
The carcass divided to his will. The Anglo-Saxon's muscle memory was that of a warrior. His body was lost to the toil, but his mind wandered to memories that were not his own. An intruder startled the Anglo-Saxon. However, before him was not the meadows and glades of his ancestors, but a butcher's shop window. While politely serving the customer, the Anglo-Saxon mourned the loss of a kingdom he had never known, of the rituals and customs that were lost long before his grandparents were even born. Outside, the street was a bustle. He knew there were others like him, ones who carried the warrior's pride. Amongst them he would find the rightful place of an Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon.
It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when the time shall count from the date that the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. When time shall count from the date the Anglo-Saxons began to hate.
Game over.
25 years. Brutal. Here. The thing about it is, Billy, you ain't ever, after that, you never need to worry about anything ever again. Since we're doing this shit, why not? By the way, there could well be, I could actually get my ass in gear and produce a book of poetry. But this is called The Exodus of 42. This is long. Forward. The battered bastards of Bastogne, the centurion from early Rome, sent to stand on Hadrian's wall, lest that mighty empire fall. Ye ask, what links these men with me? I too was once a century who, faced with choices there ago, I stood my ground and just said no. This line in sand you will not cross. I accept all types of personal loss, but one thing I will never do is leave my post in fear of you. That's a reference to the fact that I had kids, and whenever you leave an abusive person, the abusive person will abuse whoever is available, which would be the children, which is why I stayed. Turned out to be a really bad decision. We'd not advise that, but there you go. 25 years living to appease. When I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I did 25 years living to appease. Well, I ate up all your shit and I'm coming back for cheese. You thought I lived in fear, but that was not really true. The only thing I feared was leaving my two kids with you. 25 years, I was just a human shield between your chamber and my children, and I just refused to leave. You thought you knew it all, but you cannot see, not for 1 second did you ever know me. You thought you had control. You thought you were smart. You never thought that they would grow up and that you and I would part. You thought you were top cat. You thought I was just a mouse. But let's see who squeaks the loudest when I sold the fucking house. You thought I was soft, but what you did not know was the softest thing about me is my right elbow. You had the kids thinking it's all my fault, but it was you the police came to with allegations of assault. 25 years on the front line. I would do it all again to protect a child of mine. 25 years of war that you could never win. You may have caused some scars, but I never give in. 25 years, you pushed me so far, but don't worry, I still got my R&R. The chicken and the egg is not what to say. Well, the first time you hit me was on our wedding day. I knew you would never just let me go, but I know how the Israelites escaped from Pharaoh. Getting out was easy. I knew just what to do because I've been studying my good friend, son Tazu. My good friend, son Tazu. Lose a pawn to take a rook, lose a rook to take a queen. Then you dance your knights in circles and you encircle the king. Though the board itself is complex, there are choices there for you if you just follow the teachings of my good friend Sun Tzu. Know yourself, but not opponent. Sometimes win, sometimes lose. No opponent, not yourself. It's the same game. Play it again. Know yourself and no opponent. Some advantage will be found. Know not self, know not opponent. You'll be driven to the ground. Lose a pawn to take a rook, lose a rook to take a queen, and then you dance your knights in circles and you encircle the king. Though the board itself is complex, there are choices are for you if you just follow the teachings of my good friend Sun Tzu. You would not let me leave, of that there's no doubt. So I just pushed your buttons and made you cast me out. It was not even adultery. For that you need a wife, and you were never that to me. 25 years you give me hell. You were just a guard on my home or prison cell. I was just a slave. It's plain to see. There are people in North Korea that had more rights than me. I'm not really trying to be obtuse, but the term for what you did is domestic abuse. Cabal of cohorts conduct campaign, malicious midday madness maintain, collude, connive, consort, condone, always aggravated, always atone, castigated, controlled, criticized, degraded, demoralized, dehumanized, malignant midnight mayhem, wondering where, why, when another attack appears again, shocked, stunned, stuffed, stupefied, stunned, overwhelmed, outgunned, finding footholds, buying boatholds, fighting fire, forget forlorn, survival system still stands strong, acquired abilities advance along, careful consideration can create, conclusion, conditions, call checkmate, I win, game over, bitch. You screamed out your orders all day and all night. I'm divorcing you. What have you got to say? Fuck all. 25 years, I'm enjoying the silence. I'm even getting... After 25 years, I'm enjoying the silence. I might even get used to the absence of violence. I take this silence means you know that you're in the wrong. And if you know it now, you must have known it all along. You thought you were better. You thought I was beat. Well, take a good look, because I'm still on my feet. It really doesn't matter what you try to do, because I am indestructible. The Machine 42. There we go. No, I don't want to play him to leave. So there you go. What we're going to play out with is burning. Yes, this is the outro for tonight. The definite outro. We're definitely finished as soon as this fucking advertisement goes. Yep, we're lined up and ready to go. Sure. Perfect outro.
Friends all tried to warn me, but I held my head up high. All the time they warned me, but I only passed them by. They all tried to tell me, but I guess I didn't care. I turned my back and left them standing there. All the burning bridges that I've fallen after me, all the lonely feelings and the burning memories.
View your past through the smoke of a burning bridge. It's in the past for a reason. Move forward. We can all do this.
Everyone I left behind each time I close the door. Burning bridges lost forever. didn't wanna go. Party never gave for me when I just walked away. Now there's nothing left for me to say. All the burning bridges that have fallen after me, all the lonely feelings and the burning memories. Everyone I left behind each time I close the door. Burning bridges lost forevermore. Years have passed and I keep thinking what a fool I've been. I look back into the past and think of way back then. I know that I lost everything I thought that I could win. I guess I should have listened to my friends. All the burning bridges that have fallen after me, all the lonely feelings and the burning memories. Everyone I left behind each time I close the door. Burning bridges lost forevermore. Burning bridges lost forevermore.
Where the fuck is... Where'd it go? Right. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that tonight. Thank you so much for sticking with me. See you all next week. Good night. God bless. I'm hoping to get a guest on very short in the next couple of weeks. We will see if that works out. And again, thank you for tonight. Good night. God bless. See you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.